So welcome back to town. The last time you were here was at the Arena with the Scissor Sisters, but you were just saying that you think this is the first time you've ever played in Nottingham.
Yeah, aside from that show before Christmas, this is the first time we've done kind of our own show, so it's exciting. We've not been back to England for a very long time. The last time we were here was February. Since then we've been, everywhere around the world, so it's nice to be back. It's interesting to be back because we spend so much time away that being in England feels very foreign, which is quite weird.
Well, I was counting up earlier. I got to 41 countries, I think, that you've been to in recent months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the very definition of jet lag in my book. But you look very sprightly on it all, I have to say.
Yeah, I think it's actually more like 60 we worked out.
Is it?
We just done an Asian tour, so that kind of bumps it up by about 20 countries. So we're well travelled. But for years we didn't travel anywhere, so it's kind of justice that we get to get out of Manchester for a bit.
Yeah. So which of the countries particularly greet Hertz then? Which are the ones that are your hotspots around the world?
Basically, if you look at Germany and then cordon Europe off at the west border of Germany and then go east all the way to Russia, every country in between is unbelievable for us. Like places like Estonia, we were just in Serbia, Macedonia, Finland. Yeah, everywhere like that it seems to be. Like we did Belgrade Arena last week, which was mind-blowing. But there seems to be an affinity there, which we feel very at home in those countries, which is nice because as soon as we got there, before we knew the reaction, we felt at home, and then they receive us really well, so yeah.
And how have you come to be so big out there? Is it purely organic through the internet, or have you just got a record company that are working very hard for you in those territories?
It's a combination of both them things, really. I think with things like Facebook, our fans have been able to connect with each other, and I guess there's a giant Hertz family of fans, and they're all very devoted. I think Facebook's really helped that, but also our label, obviously we've got a great label and great people around the world working for us. We're still amazed that this has happened to us, really, that we've become such an international act, really, because the music was born in Manchester, really, and we never thought we'd get out of the north of England.
Yeah. But you can see that it will travel well. Surely you can see that your music with the killer melodies that you've got, and it's just all embracing, isn't it? So you can see why it becoming an international phenomenon.
Well, we wanted it to. It's so bizarre how it worked out because all we talked about was imagine going to Serbia and playing. And Depeche Mode are one of our favourite bands, and they had this career which took them to some of the kind of most obscure places on the planet, and that's what all we wanted to do. And it's amazing that it worked out like that. I guess because we put that into the music, and because we make pop music, so it seems to be, like Adam was saying, what's interesting is when you go to Eastern Europe, people have taken it on board without us having to ram it down their throats. Like we didn't even realise we did a gig in Poland, first ever gig in Poland. The album had already gone platinum, and we'd never done any show there, never done any press, and we got out there, and the day we got out there the album went platinum. A lot of these countries just get it, which is very...
There's a very honest appreciation of pop music in parts of Europe where the peripheral elements of music matter less, and what really counts is your melodies and your lyrics, I guess, and your songs in general. And I think that's why we're successful in a lot of places, because hopefully we got good pop songs.
And do you get fans hanging around outside the dressing rooms when you go over to those countries? I'm guessing. You've done Japan.
Yeah. Do you know, it gets, the further east you go, the more extreme it gets, which is, it's amazing, but it's funny coming back here where this is almost like a place where we've got a little bit of peace and quiet
apart from the samba band.
Apart from the samba band, but when you go to Russia, it's the thing of like fake hotel rooms and all this thing where it gets very extreme. And the places, when you go to places where people never go, it becomes even more extreme. Like when we went to Serbia just then, and Macedonia, and we went to Israel, and all these places where bands don't very, very rarely go, so the people get more and more. They never want you to leave, which is quite extreme sometimes.
Dream, the American Dream, all the rest of it. I mean, it's easy to forget that you were on the dole, I think, for 4 years, weren't you, ahead of all of this? And when you look back at those times now, does it almost feel like a metamorphosis that you're a different person now?
I don't look back. So I think
ever?
I never look back, really. Perhaps I've stored it in my subconscious, and one day I'll go on have a huge breakdown, but it's a bit like a black hole in my life, really, in our lives, I suppose. It's a bit like Groundhog Day every day. We signed on, we worked on music all day, and then repeat times 7, really. I mean, there wasn't much going on in our lives, so it wasn't very memorable.
It's one of those things, you detest the fact that you had to go through it, but at the same time, if we hadn't, we would never have got this far, because it taught us everything we knew. We had all that time to write music, we learned how to write music, and all the bad stuff that happened, it's given us a sense of grounding because it feels now that someone's going to walk on the bus and tell us it's over. But every day I panic about it leaving and going back, because that was such a big part of our life, that time, that this is only new to us, and the whole world's changed around us, and we've just stayed the same, which is really odd, because you do feel like walking around, doing things like going to the shop, you instantly transported back, and you're like, I don't ever want to go back to that, so let's crack on.
There's massive potential in this job to lose your mind. Like,
I can imagine that, actually. I can see that.
but thankfully, we had 4 years of misery, and we've had 1 year where we've had the time of our lives, so I think we're still just about grounded, but come back in a few years and
we'll be living in a Russian castle with like 10
we'll plot your breakdown with interest.
Yeah.
No. I've got a theory, actually, because I think it was The Sound of 2010, wasn't it, that you appeared in? And I sometimes think those things can backfire a little bit, and people don't go on to fulfil the potential that folks expect of them. But I think, looking at the venues, the festivals you're playing this year, Glastonbury, all of those, I think it's going to kick off bigger than anyone can imagine, to be honest.
Do you know what's really exciting this year is the festivals? Because the album only came out like 7 months ago. It feels like it's been out forever for us, but this is our first year where, yeah, we get to play to people who know the record, and that the sound of 2010. It's so interesting. We get the chance to, because we get to speak to people around the world. It's a massive thing for people. Everyone mentions it. Japan, Korea, like China. People mention the sound of 2010. Which
It can become a millstone round your neck, though, I think. I mean, it's great to get you out there in the first place, but expectations, maybe it's a British thing, expectations are so desperately high in Britain, but it's almost like it can go wrong, can't it?
I think for us, we approach Britain with a lot of confidence now, because we've had all this success in Europe, and when we come home and, you know, these festivals, we got Glastonbury, Tina Park, we're just going to kind of not worry about pressure and just do our thing, because we've proven ourselves, really.
Yeah.
One last question. You're playing Somerset House in the summer, and that's going to attract a lot of attention. I'm guessing it's going to be televised and all the rest of it as well. I mean, that's probably going to be your biggest headline/solo gig to date, isn't it? How will you feel just ahead of that?
It's a big thing. That's the biggest show in Britain we've ever done, and for it to have sold out so quickly, for us it's a very proud moment, because, like I say, we go to all these places like Belgrade and things like that, but then for it to be in London outdoor in middle of the summer it's kind of like a dream situation.
Adam and Theo, thank you very, very much indeed.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
BBC